Okay.
All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and start us for our delightful tea party tonight. It is my honor to be the introducer of this program. My name is Chris McCart, and I am a professor. And you can be happy that a professor is not doing this program, because we just profess. And, and it's spring. So instead tonight we have a wonderful student from Practicum, our senior environmental ed and interpretation practicum, who is leading her senior program here tonight. So we're so glad you're here. They will give you all the things that you need to know to do your program. I just have one announcement to make before I get off the stage. And number one is that if you're wondering why does she have cameras up there, that's so our presenter can take a look and watch themselves presenting later and then evaluate their performance. So with that, hi, welcome, come on in everyone. Couple seats right here up front. Which will be great. All right, so we are so glad to have you here and enjoy the program. Yes, thank you everyone.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. So my name is Sarah Monska, and like Dr. McCart just said, I'm a practicum student here at Schmeeckley Reserve, which means that I'm learning how to teach people about nature better and help them connect with nature. And in my time learning about nature and learning how to teach people about it, I've found something really interesting. I've learned a ton about plants, and I've learned that Central Wisconsin has everything that you need to host the perfect tea party. So tonight we are going to have a lovely tea party together. Before we get started, I want to let you know that the bathrooms are out there, down the hallway, to the right. You should see them. There's men's and women's. If you need to go to the bathroom at any time, you're completely welcome to head out, or if you need to head out for any other reason, that is totally fine. We'll be in here the whole time. We won't be walking anywhere. We'll just be hanging out in here for our tea party. So thank you very much for coming. So another thing that I have learned about plants is that Central Wisconsin has all sorts of plants that are everyone's cup of tea to make the perfect beverage, which is the reason that we're here together today for this awesome tea party. So I have 3 different kinds of tea for us today, all made from plants that you can find in the area and could forage yourselves. So I'd love to get a volunteer to come up front and try our first tea.
Yes.
This is the first tea. So I'll have you take a sip and then describe it to me, how it tastes, how it makes you feel.
Tastes pretty good.
Tastes pretty good.
I don't really know how to describe it.
You don't know how to describe it? That's okay.
Pretty warm.
Pretty warm.
I don't really know.
No, thank you very much. You did an awesome job. You can take that with you and drink the rest of it if you'd like. So our first tea for tonight is one that I also think is pretty good. It is rose hip tea. So this is made from plants that are in the genus Rosa, which is just like a group of plants that are all pretty similar. You can find rose hips on all sorts of different plants. A common one that you can find them on here is hawthorn. So any plants that have like pretty pink flowers and fall under that rose genus, they will produce these rose hips. Do you want to take a look? That's really fun. And so rose hips are the fruit that is produced after the flower has been pollinated, and it turns into this nice little fruit. So there are all kinds of plants that make rose hips around Wisconsin. The ones we have today are probably a non-native variety because they're a bit bigger, so that's really cool. But when you're foraging for rose hips, what you want to look for is trying to find maybe some of those bigger rose hips. If you find a small rose hip, it's actually really interesting. They have these little hairs inside of the rose hip. It can make it kind of irritating. So when you're foraging, you want to look for big ones so you can take and scoop the little hairs out of the inside. And that helps it taste better and avoid those irritations of those little hairs. So that is one of the first teas you guys will get to try. Can I have another volunteer to come up and try our second tea? Yes. fine. Everything that I'm giving you tonight is completely edible and safely foraged. It tastes like olive. You can drink the whole thing, yes. Do you have any other thoughts on how it tastes? Kind of weird. Then don't worry, that's okay. You can go sit down now. Thank you so much for trying that with me. So that tea is tea that is made from the needle of white pine. And white pine is actually a pretty common plant here in Wisconsin. It was grown a lot for logging. You might have seen like a red or white pine plantation where all of the plants are pretty close to the same height. And this plant is different from other conifers or plants that have green needles all through the winter because the needles grow in clusters instead of just straight out of the branch. And you can identify white pine because each little cluster of needles has 5 needles in it, which is the same number as the number of letters in the word white. There you go. And this tea is actually really cool because it was commonly used to prevent scurvy because it has a ton of vitamin C in it. So that is one health benefit that it has, is it can help you get that vitamin C. And it's also nice and common. You can find it in lots of places, which makes it easy to forage. Our next one is even a little bit more common. Can I get one more volunteer? Yes, right there. Yes. You want to come on up? That's okay.
Like a projector.
I know, that's totally fine. Don't worry. And if you think it tastes bad, you can say it tastes bad. Don't worry. I want to know your honest opinion.
I've tasted this flavor before.
Taste
I'm trying to figure out what it is.
You might have eaten some of this plant. This plant is completely edible.
I eat a lot of weird plants.
You eat a lot of weird plants?
Is it raspberry?
It's not raspberry. That's a really good guess. Dandelion. I heard it over here.
Oh.
Yes. Have you ever eaten a dandelion before?
By accident.
By accident? Well, that would describe why it's familiar to you. So that tea is made out of these little dehydrated chunks of the roots of dandelion. Because sort of like similar to a potato, they make sort of a thick root structure that you can take and chop up into these little pieces. But like I said before, all parts of the dandelion are actually edible. You might have eaten the flowers before, maybe at like a school playground, or just because you were curious. Yes?
I've had dandelion tea made from like the dried flower itself. Do you know, or are you able to describe kind of if there's a flavor difference
I'm
between
not-
root versus?
I'm not really sure if there's a flavor difference. That would be something interesting to look into. But yeah, since all parts of the plant are edible, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with that. So, now we've learned a little bit about our 3 different kinds of tea for tonight. So in a second, you guys are going to be able to experience drinking some of the tea. So you all have cups at the table, or there's a stack of extra cups at the back. You don't have one with you, and you can head over to our 3 teas at the back. And then while you're drinking your tea, I'm going to drop off these fun little questions at your table so you can get to know everyone around you, because that's another fun part of a tea party, is getting to chat and socialize with everyone around you. All right, so now you can head back.
I'm actually gonna move these up front, Sarah.
You're gonna move them up front. Okay, maybe we should let's do table by table.
That works for me.
So we can start
One.
as soon as you get them ready.
Are we having people choose or
What's this one?
I'll drop off our questions while everyone's waiting. There you go. You have some fun discussion. So our first question is sunny day or rainy day?
I'm a
Do we write them down here?
I don't think so. I didn't forgot about it. Yep, like last night. That was so nice.
Okay, come on.
Yep.
Do that. That's
Yeah, because when we have thunderstorms, we like to go out on the porch and sit out on the porch and just watch see the lightning.
Yep. That's what I would do too as a kid.
I'm gonna jump over to this one because this is one I can access. Does anyone want to try the rose hip tea? We also have the dandelion root and the white pine.
Can I have white wine?
Yes.
Oh, is this got a hole in it?
Oh, does it? It needs. Can get you in a spot.
It's running. I better drink it fast.
Oh, sorry. Which one would you like?
I'll try the dandelion.
The dandelion? I also try the dandelion. I'll start. There you go. We'll get you a different cup here. Thank you, sir.
Otherwise, you might start to slip out.
This one is dandelion. This one's dandelion. This one is white. Our rose one is different.
I don't know, it's hard to find a way to start.
I was like, it kind of tastes like boiled like pasta water. It smells like it, but I can't
Otherwise, you can think about it.
I have an uncle that made wine out of dandelion.
Oh wow.
He made a lot of it. Well, I think he was circuit to it. Yes.
Yeah, maybe get salt in the first
Another one is share a memory in nature that you'll never forget.
Well, it's a bad memory, but my mom and I were like waiting on this path, and there were a bunch of mosquitoes outside, but there's no my mom most got me. So I was trying to find my mom, but then I went ahead like really fast, and she was going really slow. Yeah, and then unfortunately she
I can't even think of one. Just so many.
I know, it's hard. And then he fell in, so he tried to go pull him up, but then I fell in too.
We had a dog. I grew up on a dairy farm in Deerfield, Wisconsin, which is east of Madison. And our dog knew for some reason we didn't like skunks. So when he found a skunk and it could be in the woods, he would drive it home. And it would end up around the house and stink.
Yep.
Oh. So we always remember that was skunks that dog drove home. I can't find a word to describe it. No, it has a hole.
Mine's going down
All right, can I have everyone's attention again just for 1 second? Yes, awesome. So I totally forgot to tell you the spot at each of your little tables. You have a fancy name tag. And on that name tag, I want you to make up a fancy name for today. With a fancy title.
Fancy tea party name.
So we have some ID. You could be a duke or a duchess, prince, princess, queen, knight, anything that you can think of. So make up your fancy names. I'm so excited to hear what's our
No, I'm saying that's what we're doing. We need any more tea over here? We got Lady Lady Meemaw. Yes, thank you.
I didn't know you had a dandelion, and I assumed that was for tea.
For tea or elicited red bliss with it. Same Lady
Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad that everyone showed up. I would love to. It's so funny to talk about it right now. Sorry, what would you like? The dandelion?
We're going to do
This is a temporary.
I can read over here. Let me see it again over here. Now I can read.
Yes, I would love to see it.
Elm trees are one of my favorites. Probably in the US. It's a good home for Orioles. Orioles build their. Oh yeah, because they're like an umbrella, and in those branches that hang down, that's where they like to build their nest.
Half the joke is that this actually part of the but I grab it. Great idea. It's half the joke. The majority of the joke.
All my grown-ups behind my grandma's house.
There's I'm not gonna let
Any tree that starts with
I sent pictures. Pick your favorite. So,
anyone else for more rose tea? Hang it up in your office.
I'm moving.
Put it in your new office.
here.
That's valid actually. This is more of the rose tea.
What is that?
The inside, it's the cheesecloth that we have the rose hips in
Oh.
as a makeshift tea bag.
Oh, okay. This looks like a weird animal. Yeah.
Looks like they're chewing something.
Yep, it's just a cheesecloth with rose hips.
It looks like a kidney.
It does.
Are they ground up, the rose tips ground up?
That's a great question. Are the rose hips ground up in any way?
How do you get the flavor out of it?
Okay, so first they're kind of dehydrated. Oh, sorry. First you kind of scoop the hairs out of them because they have some hair in the middle that you don't want. It's bad for your throat.
Yeah.
And then it's dehydrated, and then you can just add it to the hot water, and then it infuses into the water. So they're not ground at all.
I've always heard they were edible growing up, but I didn't know.
Gotcha.
Alright, let's take about 1 more minute to wrap up our conversations, and then we're going to chat about some other stuff.
What is your favorite flower?
Carson, how's it going? Sorry. So, what is your name here?
Oh, it's what they also call me?
Yeah, Madam Mima. Mima. Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice. What's yours?
Mine's Lady Marigold.
Sounds very sweet and appropriate.
My favorite flower is not marigolds, they're lilies, but
Oh, okay.
I thought marigold was fun.
And then it kind of has that, you know.
Yeah.
It feels like a character in something.
All right, can I have everyone's attention back up at the front? Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'll give you another few seconds to wrap up your final conversations. Does anyone want to share their fancy name that they've come up with? Yes. Yeah. You gonna show it?
Luna Lily.
Thank you, Lily. Do we have anyone else?
I am High Lady K of the Wood.
Welcome to the tea party, High Lady K.
Glad to be here.
I am Splash Wave Dancer, Feywild Ambassador, and Professional Arsonist.
I love that. I love that you're multi-talented, multifaceted. There's a lot going on for you. That's good. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. So, yes. Along with your fancy names, I've noticed that some of us have some fancy outfits on, which have brought an awesome pop of color to our tea party. Would anyone like to show off their fancy outfit? Yes. So we've set up the room so that you can have sort of a runway down the middle here. So you can head to the back of the room, walk down, and then hit a pose up here. If you feel comfortable. There we go. Are you ready? All right. Gorgeous. Thank you. Do we have anyone else? who would love to show their outfits? But do it. Otherwise, I can do it.
Okay, let's see it.
So, just like your awesome first time, we have one more guest. So just like your awesome outfits have added a pop of color to our tea party, Central Wisconsin nature can also add its own special pop of color. So if you look at the table in front of you, your little placemats, they're all naturally dyed using natural materials. So what this is this is fabric treated with something called a mordant, which is a sort of metal that helps dyes attached to it. So a common one that I've used is alum, which you might see in your kitchen. And so that just helps the dyes make a really strong bond with the fabric. And what this is actually dyed with is just spruce pine cones. I know, they're really common. I actually found them on campus, just kind of hanging out. And they make this really nice pink shade that I love so much. And there are a ton of other really cool plants that you can do this with as well. So you have an old dress or an old shirt that you don't really use as much anymore, you could add some color to it as well. Or you could use it, like I did today, for hosting and making these fancy little placemats. So now that we've had some tea and talked about some other things that we can use for hosting our tea parties in the future, I want to talk about etiquette and about being a good guest. You guys have all been wonderful guests for me here today, but when we're out in nature foraging for these different things that we can use, we want to be a good guest as well. So we are going to run through the different teas that we drank today, and we're going to talk about where you could maybe forage those. So for our first one, we're going to start with white pine. So this white pine, like we talked about before, is this really cool plant. But white pine is special out of the teas I gave you today because it needs to be foraged on private lands. So here in Wisconsin and in the United States, a lot of times you can forage on federal land if you check the regulations. It's always very important to check the regulations because even though generally you're allowed to forage, there might be some places where there's something going on in the ecosystem or where something is sensitive where you don't want to be taking. But along with that, you can also forage on state lands with similar rules. You want to be checking the regulations. But with those things that you can forage on state and federal lands, you can only forage fruits, nuts, or mushrooms. So white pine and these needles that we've used for tea today, these are not a fruit or a nut. They're leaves or needles. So this is something you can only forage on private land. On your own private land, you can forage pretty much anything that you like. So the white pine needles from today I actually got from a friend's private land. So our other things as well, your dandelion roots, that's also something that you want to be checking in on. You probably want to forage this on private land as well. And considering it's dandelions, you might be able to ask around, ask your neighbors or other public land owners if you can forage some as well. And this is something that might commonly grow in your backyard. Yes?
Can I maybe go back to the white pine?
Yes.
When you pick it and then you want to make a tea out of it, is it better like right after it's picked, or do you let it dry and sit for a certain amount of time first?
I usually have had it right after it's picked, but this that you had today was picked about 2 weeks ago. So I haven't really noticed a huge difference. I think if it's left for like a long time, maybe more than a month, you might see the flavor diminish. Another thing you want to do with this as well is you want to cut up the needles, and that helps that like vitamin C and those other things inside the needles escape a little bit better. So again, with the dandelion, you want to make sure that you're foraging that on private land because it's not fruit or nut. Yes?
I apologize. How would you recommend to wash it before you make tea out of it? Like, is there a
obviously not gonna use like dogfish soap. I would just wash it with hot water. That actually kind of gets into another one of my points, which is that when we're foraging, we want to make sure that we're taking from somewhere we know is safe. Especially considering things like pesticides and other pollution. If your neighbor says, hey, you could forage from my yard, but you know that they use pesticides, that's not somewhere that you would want to forage from. We want to be thinking about where we're foraging from, thinking about how has this land been treated before, pesticides and other things like that. Or we want to think about location, maybe is this near the local plant? Maybe we don't really know what sort of things have been in the water. So just considering stuff like that. And also considering avoiding roadside ditches. That's another common one where a lot of cool plants grow, but there can have been like road salts and other things like that that have gotten into stuff. All right, our next one, the rose hips. That's something that you would be able to forage on both federal, state, and private land because it's a fruit, and fruits you can forage. So a lot of places you can forage for things like blueberries, other fruits like that, raspberries, brambles. Fruits are a very common thing that you can forage and is usually supported by like the DNR or other land management agencies. So just to recap really quick, you can forage on federal and state lands for things like fruits and nuts, but you want to make sure that you're checking the regulations just to make sure there's nothing happening that might make you not want to forage there. Also, when we're foraging, we want to make sure that we're not taking everything from a given area. The general recommendation is that you want to take about 1/3 or less of the plant material available in an area, just so that plant can continue to flourish and spread, and that we haven't wiped out an entire population in an area. So we just want to make sure that we're using our good tea party etiquette and that we're being good guests when we're going out into the world foraging. So I have a quick game for us to play. In our table teams, I've given you all some note cards, and I'm gonna read out a question. Once I've read it out, I want you to write down what you think the answer is and hold it up. The fastest team, I'll call on you. If you get it right, you get a point. If not, another team might get to steal it. So you can all find the note cards on your table, and I will grab my next question. Right there.
Okay, I cannot see that.
I'm not a grade school.
Oh.
I think just one of those.
Okay, I can do this.
Just one person from the table has to?
I can do this.
Yay!
Just one person to represent your table.
I think I do this.
You got it. Oh, I have pens in my pocket. I was tunneling on the whole part.
I'm like, that's what the important stuff.
Demonstrating my wide variety of snacks.
All right, give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
I love that.
We have a spokesperson over here.
Are you a spokesperson or
Right. There we go. Okay, awesome. Alright, thumbs up again. I'm seeing all those wonderful thumbs up. Okay, our first question. How much of a plant can you take from a certain area? Well, let me see. 1/3. Awesome. Yay!
Which table got it?
We all agree?
Yeah.
Good job.
True or false? You can forage on all state lands. False. Correct. You cannot. There are some lands that have special considerations. All right. What are the 2 parts of a plant you can forage on most state and federal lands?
Nuts and fruit.
Nuts and fruits.
Come on, team.
I believe in you guys. You can do it.
Manifesting.
All right. What are 2, can you list 2 things you should think about when foraging? 2 things to consider.
If there's
Oh,
pesticides
that one's closer. Let's see
if
what
there's pesticides anywhere.
Location and soil. Okay. What do you mean by soil?
Like if there's pesticides or if there's been like, if it's in a ditch or something.
Yes. Awesome. Let's see what other people wrote.
Yeah, it was like pesticides and water quality.
Awesome. What do you think is back here? That's a great one. That's very good. And we never want to eat a plant unless we can 100% identify it. We're 100% sure. Don't want to eat any baby plants. That could be pretty bad. Yes, Abby, what do we have over here?
I said, is it safe and am I allowed?
Is it safe and am I allowed?
That might be the
Good
best
answer. All right.
Point for our table?
We've got one more question. And this one's not very fair because I haven't told you the answer yet. So we'll see if you can guess.
No ice cream.
Is foraging allowed in Schmeekley Reserve?
Oh.
Are you retracting your answer? What do we have over here?
I said no.
No! Yes, it is not allowed here. No foraging in Schmeekley Reserve.
Because it's a nature reserve. But on campus they have like fruit trees you can pull from the fruit trees.
That is true.
You can get the fruits.
This isn't owned by the university,
All
is it?
right, that was
I'm
our
not
very
sure. I
last
think
question.
they like collaborate a lot more.
Is there a question over here?
Is Schmeekley Reserve owned by the university or is it separate?
It is owned by the university, yes.
Nice.
Do you have a question in the back? Here, we can come back for questions at the end. I want to chat. Oh. What is that room? Was that room? That is a bird watching room. So you guys can check that out after our program. So you guys did a really good job. I think my team over here has won. So your prize,
Oh, there were prizes? I didn't know that.
you get to take home the rest of the dandelion root tea. Amongst yourselves. All right, if I could have your attention up at the front again. I like the ding ding ding. That was awesome. All right, so now we've talked a little bit about how Central Wisconsin has something that's everyone's cup of tea. We've talked about how we can use Central Wisconsin's nature to add a pop of color to our parties. We've also talked about how to use etiquette to be good guests when we're foraging. So now I want to talk a little bit about Schmeekley Reserve's role in foraging and other things like that. So like we just said, foraging is not allowed at Schmeekley Reserve, and that is because it is a reserve. One of Schmeekley's main goals is to be a refuge. So just like you might have felt safe and comforted getting to be here today, have a little cup of tea, chat with some friends, that is what Schmeekley Reserve serves as for the plants that live here. A place of refuge, a place to relax, and a place to grow. So Schmeekley is very, very important to help these plants have a safe space where we are not interfering with them. and a lovely refuge. But there are lots of other really cool places that we can forage, lots of local places, and there's also a ton of cool knowledge that we can find out about more plants that you can forage. On each table, there's a book that I consulted when writing this program with different information about cool plants that you can forage. We do have some copies of the one over there, I believe, in the gift shop, if you're ever curious. Or there's probably copies at our local library or the campus library if you'd like to know more. I will be up here for questions, but this is the end of our program. Thank you very, very much for coming to my tea party. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I heard we have a birthday in the back. Oh, happy birthday! And we have, at the back door as you go, we have a snack. I believe it's goldfish. And I have some bags of the rose hips that you can take and make into tea in your own homes. Thank you for coming. I'll be up here if you have questions. Thank you.
Do a curtsy, do a curtsy.